SFS 2 has been leaked, and every SFS YouTuber and their cat has been posting about it. From astronauts to the lighting system to how much the game will cost, I'll be going over every possible detail about SFS 2, including footage that no one else in the community has seen yet, and a Q&A including questions that you guys want to know that Stef himself has answered at the end of the video. So Stef mentioned the website leak was an accident, and the photos on the website honestly look really well polished. From the launch pad, which was said to be a work in progress, to the entire space center, which looks like it, that water and sand looks very familiar. I honestly don't know why the water is not yet in SFS 1, because the entire community has been waiting 2 years only just to receive supposedly more engines in 1.6, which already exist with custom part mods. Anyway, the Space Center campus from SFS 2 images look like it will possibly have 2 launch pads as well as 2 runways, which can be seen in this image. All of this looks great and all, but I'm more curious on what's going to be at the end of this path, since none of the existing close-ups show what's over there. However, if you look closely at the App Store banner, we can see that there are 3 things that branch out from the path. I'm thinking they could be small launch pads, but put in the comments what you think they might be. Also, the most recent images uploaded to the Discord shows a bunch of parts scattered around on the ground to show some scale to the astronaut, as well as close-up shots of the launch pad, and I hope for sure that the astronaut can walk forward and fall under the launch pad. One of the things I've noticed about SFS 2 is that there's a lot going on with the lighting system and the part quality that the devs have implemented. For example, the sunsets look absolutely gorgeous in these photos, and you can even see a rather odd rocket with a solid booster, maybe from limited parts, possibly suggesting a career mode similar to how SFS 1's career mode initially only gives solid rocket boosters. I think compared to Juno and KSP, SFS 2's reflection details from the sunset reflecting off the capsule variants, as well as the reflections in this video, are very high quality considering this is supposed to be a mobile game. I know what you're thinking, and I'll address your concerns later in this video. Speaking of capsule variants, we have hints at new parts added to the game, such as new capsule variants shown in the last screenshot, as well as these station parts which might possibly be habitation modules. And is that a cupola module? Given the inside of the default capsule, which has so much detail already, I can't wait to see how the interior of the cupola module would look when it's finished. Looking back at this image, we can also see that there are metal panels similar to KSP, which can also be seen on this image used in the rover. On the topic of interior view, we finally get to see an interior view of parts which didn't ever exist in SFS 1 until Fusion made a mod to see under fairings. I don't want to get my hopes up, but maybe this interior mode implies that station parts might be a little more interactive and astronauts can move throughout the rocket. This is an issue I have with SFS 1, is that the base game is just landing a bunch of fuel tanks on different planets and calling it a base, yet it serves no function. This is another reason why I think the devs should focus on adding water, the rest of the solar system, or even astronauts to the original SFS before adding more engine. Anyway, what we haven't seen yet is any screenshots suggesting the existence of solar panels, structural parts, redstone atlas pack, the probes, but I hope they're in there as well. Let's move on to astronauts in SFS 2. This is one video of the astronaut on Mars where if you look closely, there's ray tracing on the helmet. Wait, pause. Why are there stars here? Oh, we just experienced an eclipse from Phobos. That's actually insane. In this image, we can see the Earth's reflected off the helmet as well, although it might only be ray tracing on the environment because I don't see any reflections in this image from any of the parts. This image is also a glimpse of what the astronauts will look like in first person, and I'm not exactly sure if the station modules also have ray tracing on them, but again, that does raise concerns for users with slower phones. I'm also very curious about the astronaut movement, so I reached out to the devs to obtain some videos, and the videos I got were absolutely incredible. Here we can see an example of the first-person view of the astronauts walking around with the moon's gravity affecting the astronaut's stride length. Re-entry looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and look at what pictures we have regarding the user interface. Here is a very clean world selection, and compared to the current SFS selection screen, the new one is somehow very refreshing to see. Now looking at the build screen, it looks like the devs are going for a very simple UI and simple build mechanics like the symmetry mode, which currently only seems to have options for symmetry in powers of 2. Also in this image, we can see a new style of texture selection with the textures patterns at the top and the primary and custom colors at the bottom, as well as a plus button to add more colors. Also, not to mention that this parts list compared to the other ones seen in this other screenshot might also suggest that there might actually be a career mode, because here we only see 1 capsule and 3 small fuel tanks, similar to how SFS 1's career mode only starts out with these parts. Now let's move on to the Q&A with answers from Stef himself. Will the game work on old phones and computers? According to Stef, the devs are working on optimizing it it to support relatively weak phones while keeping a high graphics fidelity, and also mentioned that he bought a bunch of shitty phones to test it on. But I'm curious how many parts he tested at one time, because I know a lot of the community is going to try shoving as many parts as possible into a single build and expecting it to run smoothly. Is SFS 1 still going to receive updates? Apparently Stef has a plan to keep updating SFS 1 every so often, but then also mentioned that one of the artists are working on the engine/boosters, which is not at all what the community has been excited/waiting for. Next question, do we get the entire solar system this time? He said not right away, but yes, absolutely. I'm kind of skeptical about this because SFS 1 has still not received the rest of the planets, and it's been out for about 7 years. When will the game be released? About 6 months. Will it be free on mobile? It will be free to play on mobile, while Steam will be fully paid and have all of the mobile features. How much would the game cost? Somewhere in the $20 to $30 range on Steam, and most likely $25.